That must be Ray.
It is indeed. Miss Dolly, lovely to see you.
That must be Dolly. How
Lovely
are
to see
you?
you.
Good
Great,
to see
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
My weaknesses. Well, they tell me you have quite a popular show there.
Yeah, we do.
You're the guy there.
Well, we've done a bit over the years.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I just can't, well, I guess that's because you hadn't been there, but we had a daytime show that was an hour and a half that I used to host,
Oh, yeah.
and we had everybody come here.
How long you been on the air?
It's almost as long as you've been singing.
Yeah?
About 40, well, as long as you've been married, 47 years,
Yeah.
I mean, since I
Been
started.
44.
And I had 10 years in New York, in that period, that 70s, when you really came to the fore,
Yeah.
and I was there as correspondent for 10 years.
Well, we're holding up good, ain't
Here
we?
we are, considering. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
No, you are.
Well, everybody knows how. Oh, that's right. That's always the thing that throws me so bad when we go to Australia or to England, is the other side of the road, because I'm always going, because it's like somebody's coming right at you, so it's strange driving. I don't have to drive, thank God.
Miss Dolly, thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
At last. Now, you talk a lot about...
I talk a lot.
No, you don't. No, about your hair and your makeup and your clothes. How long did it take you this morning to look so beautiful?
Well, thank you for saying that, but it didn't take long at all because I did my own makeup early. I always do my makeup early in the mornings anyway. No matter what's going on, I always put on a little makeup. So that takes me 30 minutes. And then when I got here on the set, I have the girl that does my hair. She's got wigs all lined up for each outfit and each interview that I'm going to be doing.
How many wigs you got?
I jumped under. Well, I say there's 365 days in a year, so I must have at least 365. But I usually wear wigs for all the show stuff. I do have hair, but I usually, just kind of wear it up in a little scrunchie or something, just with my casual little clothes. But when I'm performing or out in public, I like to wear the wigs because they're handy.
Is there ever a home alone period? Is there a time when you can, no wigs, no makeup, no nothing, no high heels?
Oh, yeah, but seldom, even at home, because I'm so little. I wear my high heels. I can't even reach my cabinets unless I put my shoes on. But, yeah, of course, there are times when I'm not overdone, let's put it that way. But I always try to put on a little makeup for my husband, and I always fix my hair a little bit, fluff him with some hot rollers or put my hair up in a scrunchie because I don't want to look too tacky for him, look good for everybody, and then go home and look like hell for him. So I tidy up a little bit, but I have my downtime, but still I like to kind of fix up a little bit.
When was the last time you were able to simply just go out, get in the car, go out, go downtown, go to the store?
I could do that now. You mean without fixing up? I wouldn't do that because everybody knows who I am. People know my voice as much as they know how I look. But I always see all these people, these celebrities going out in public and they look awful. I think, ooh, I wouldn't want somebody to get a picture of me looking like that. Or in a mug shot, I'd be afraid I'd get arrested on the way to the grocery store for speeding or something. And then I'd have but I always, if I'm going to go out in public, sincerely, the least I can do is tidy up a little bit in case you get caught or you had an accident or somebody had to come. I wouldn't want to get arrested for indecent exposure.
But is that the price of fame? Is it decades ago since you could jump in the car and just go to the store and not be recognised?
Well, I actually can go to the store. It's like everything else. It's just like with the paparazzi and all the celebrities. I know where I can go and when I can go. My husband and I often go to the grocery store because I love to cook, especially around holidays. I like to go pick out certain things that I know that I don't trust anybody else to get. So we can go shop like at midnight, and we're both very early risers, and there are grocery stores that stay open 24 hours. So I can go into the grocery store anytime after midnight or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and go shop, just go down the aisle. People know you in there, the cash register, but I still, I don't dress exactly like this, but
sure.
I have a little makeup on and a little,
So you can do it.
I
that's
do.
A revelation.
I do anything I want. Same with the restaurants. I know where I can go. If I say I want to go to this restaurant, and I know the paparazzi's there, I know to expect that. If I don't want to be bothered with any of that, I know some other fine places to go where they don't hang out. So you just kind of have to pick and choose what you want. But I've never really suffered for it. It's been worth the sacrifice for me.
When did looking good become important for you?
That was important to me when I was a young girl. And even if I hadn't become a star, I would have wanted to wear too much makeup, too much hair, because I am the Backwoods Barbie. I love hair, makeup. I love, shiny, fancy clothes. But I guess when I was about 14, 15 years old, it became very important to me how I looked. And ever since then, I have tried to, I used to, even before the Fredericks of Hollywood push-up bras came out, I used to steal the shoulder pads out of my grandma's coat so I could push them up a little bit so I could get, a little more of that look. So I was always kind of wanting to be a little more.
A couple of women said to me when I said I was coming to interview you, they said, these are grown women, and they said they can remember as kids getting 2 balloons under the T-shirt and running around the backyard like Dolly Parton. You
Well,
see
I
what
had
you've done?
2 balloons. I had my own balloons, but I pushed them up a little, and of course I had them blown up a little bigger as the years went by. But in the early years, when I was just a little kid, though, we lived out in the country. We were very poor people, but we had poke berries, a wild plant that grew that had berries that stained, and I used to paint my lips with that, and it would not come off. It just stained. It would stay on for days, and my daddy used to blister my bottom because, he thought I had on lipstick, and I'd say, "No, Daddy, it's my natural color." And he'd try to rub it off. It wouldn't come off, of course. But we used to paint jewelry with the poke berries, make sandals, and I was always doing that.
You said that you weren't naturally beautiful. You said that, in
And
fact,
I'm not.
well, those early shots of you, you're very pretty.
Well, thank you, but it's not a natural beauty. But you got to have a canvas, I guess, to paint on. I'm not a striking beauty, and I know that. I guess that's always one of the reasons I always like to wear too much makeup. I always wanted to be prettier. I always wanted to be more. But I was not born like some people are, that they look good without anything on. That's not me.
But again, can I just say that those early photos I've seen of you, almost in the mountains, as a very pretty girl. I just wonder where that point was where you decided you needed cosmetic surgery and all these additives for what was pretty.
Well, I didn't have plastic surgery till long after I was a big star. I didn't have any kind of plastic surgery till I was 40 years old. Well, I did have my boobs expanded a little, but I had nice boobs even then. But I didn't have boob surgery and any of that till I was already grown and in Nashville and already, on TV. But I didn't have anything done on my face till I was 40 years old.
What was there a moment? Was there something
Yeah,
that said...
well, it's just, I'm the same as I am right now. It's like you think, oh, you got a few little bags under here and you're going to be on camera. If they can do something about that, well, then go tidy that up. And when collagen and Botox came out, I thought, well, I'll never graduate from collagen. That's just too good of a thing. It's just natural protein where they kind of smooth out your wrinkles. So I just do whatever I need to, and because we've talked about it, and people make more of anything, because it's been talked about so much, and because I'm so open about it, people think that I've had so much more than actually what I really have had. I've had plastic surgery, yes. I will have it again when I need it, if I need a little nip or tuck or something here and there. But for the most part now, after you get that stuff about as done as they can do you, then you use the Botox and you use the collagen. It's all just surface stuff.
But with respect, you don't age. I mean, will you look like this at 100?
I will if I live to be 100.
Will you?
I hope.
That's the thing. But do you think? I mean, there's a lovely moment in the Queen Latifah movie in which you say, where you're fighting, and you say to her, "Look, I am what I am," and she says, "No, you're about 5 operations ago."
Yeah, that's what I say. Why shouldn't you? It's like, who gives a rat's behind if I had a few little nips and tucks? It's like, and I'll do it. I just look at myself every now and then. Every few years, it's just like having an automobile. You got to keep it up, or a show dog, or a show horse. You got to groom them. If you're going to be in front of the camera, you should know. You probably sit and look at yourself now and then, don't you? And think, oh, I wonder. But for men, it's not as easy because you
I just
really,
age.
Well,
you
you
stay
look
the
good.
same.
I'm not saying you need it, but I'm just saying as we get older, you start noticing, well, could I get that smoothed out a little with a little collagen, or is that going to take a knife or whatever? But if you've got the money, if you've got the nerve, if you've got the desire, at least get somebody good, though. Don't just go have anybody whacking on you, because that can be a bad thing.
But how did the granddaughter of a preacher man become so sexy and so sassy?
Well, I don't know. My grandpa thought I was going to hell in a handbasket in the early days. But after I became popular, one of the songs I wrote was called Daddy Was an Old-Time Preacher Man. It was about my grandpa. Yeah. Oh, he thought I was fine after that. After that, he'd just meet people on the street. Dolly Parton? That's my granddaughter. You know that song, Old-Time Preacher Man? Well, that's about me. Because after he saw that, I was going to be okay, I was going to make a living, and that I wasn't as trashy as I looked, that was just the way I looked, I guess he just prayed, Lord, forgive her. She knows not what she does. And just let it go.
And is the story true that there was the town tramp who was
Yes,
your model or
absolutely.
role model?
There was this woman in our town that was the town tramp or prostitute, I suppose, because she would, she walked up and down the street. She was beautiful, though. She had all this yellow, beautiful hair. And I tell this story, but it is the honest truth. But she had her red lipstick. She looked like me. Seriously. I mean, she had the look that I have. It's that over-exaggerated, overdone. But I thought she was beautiful. She had the tight short skirts and the high-heel shoes with the little plastic goldfish that moved around inside. I just thought she was beautiful. And we didn't have anything like that in our hometown because we would get to go to town on occasion. Because we lived way up in the mountains, but if we had to go for whatever reason, but anytime I would see her, I just thought she was the prettiest thing I'd ever seen, because we didn't do movies. We didn't have beauty movie stars. We didn't see that. So the first glimpse I got of that, it imprinted in my head, and I thought, that's how I want to look, and that's how I do look.
And what did Mum think, or what did Dad think?
Well, I got whipped all the time.
Did you really?
Yes, all the time. Like saying that I looked cheap and I couldn't wear this and I couldn't wear that. I would do it, though. I wasn't afraid. I would do it. Even if I had to take it off, I'd still do it again. And then my mother was more understanding. She got it. She got me because she knew I was fine.
Yeah.
She knew I had talent, and she knew that I had an idea of who I was. And she didn't punish me for that. She would still say, you better get that off before your daddy gets home, or whatever. But my mother was the one that I could talk in when I started singing on radio and TV, when I wanted little outfits that were a little lower, or if I wanted, Mama to fix something, she'd say, now, you're going to get me and you in trouble with your daddy, or whatever. But she would help me with that.
And you were on radio very early, 10 or 11?
Yes.
Singing there, and a bit of a celebrity, if not a star, by teenage years.
Yes.
So you're already on track for single-minded about it, was it, Dolly?
Very. I knew what I wanted.
Did you?
The first
What did you
time-
want?
Well, I wanted to be out in the world. I wanted to stand in front of people. I wanted to perform. The first time, I wanted to sing because I could write songs and I could play. And I just wanted to get out in the world. I just wanted to be out amongst other people. I wanted to go places. And my uncle, Bill Owens, one of my mother's brothers, he also played guitar. And he used to take me around. And he's the one that...
You wrote with him, didn't you?
Yes, we wrote a lot of songs together. And we're still wonderful friends today. We still... try, get together every winter and try to write a few songs. But he would take me around all these places. And the first time I ever stood in front of an audience at the Kaz Walker Show, which is a man that owned a chain of grocery stores, supermarkets, and he sponsored a show. So when there was an audience out there, and I went out and I sang, my Uncle Bill played and I played, and I sang, and they just tore the house down. They wanted me to do it again and again.
How'd you feel?
I felt like I had come home.
Did you?
Yes. And then when we were
how
walking...
old were you?
I was 10.
Yeah.
And then when we were walking out in the parking lot, getting in my uncle's old beat-up car, I said, well, they really liked me, didn't they? And he said, well, I think they really did. I said, well, I think I'm just going to always do it.
And is it
And
true
I
you
always
had to
did.
stand on an apple crate to reach the microphone?
Yeah.
In the
early days.
amazing stuff. Did you write at the age of 5? I read that you wrote, "Life don't mean much to me."
Oh, yeah.
Did you write
I
that?
wrote a song. It was about, I would hear my mama and my aunts and my grandma, they would just sit around and just tell these god-awful tales. And then somebody that had been killed in the war, maybe a son or an uncle or their, a husband, I would hear all these sad stories. So everything really registers deep on me still to this day. So I wrote this song about, like a
Life
boy
don't mean-
dying, and life don't mean much, and yeah, and
Where'd
but
you
I
get that
wrote other
wisdom at the
things.
age of 5?
Well, because of them, just hearing
Yeah.
them talk. I just would write. I could rhyme words. I could rhyme words as long as I can remember. Mama was always fascinated how I could rhyme words. So I would just start to write something, and I could just rhyme it, and I would just put together their sentences and things I would hear them say and talk about and make a story out of it.
So while she was warning you about what your dad would say, she was obviously supporting you. She was actually
Mama always
inspiration.
believed in me.
Yeah.
Mama always got me. She always saw me. I'm a lot like my mother, or my mother was. I'm very open-minded, very very spiritual, very God-loving, trusting. Believing all things can come from that place. But I'm also funny. My mother was always had a great sense of humor, great twist on things, and a bit psychic. So I'm a lot like her, and I think she saw herself in me, and she knew that I would be the one that could, because my mother was a great singer too.
Was she?
She happened to love my daddy more than she loved the music.
So she stayed with him and
Yes, and I
ignored
went
the music.
on.
But there were 12 children
Yes.
in your family. How come Dolly, Rebecca, stepped out of that? How come you stepped out?
Well, now I am not the only talented
No.
one. I'm just the one that got lucky because I have so many brothers and sisters that sing and write, and
Were
some
you more
of them
driven,
are
Dolly?
twice. I think I was more driven, and I had a more outgoing personality. A lot of my brothers and sisters that sing really good, a lot of them are more basically shy. I never met a stranger. I just thought everybody liked me. And I
That's a
thought if
great
they
line.
didn't, they would. I thought, well, because I liked everybody. I just never. There was never a stranger. It's like that saying, to me, like a stranger is just a friend I haven't made yet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my philosophy. So that's the way I always was.
Naive but good in that
Innocent,
sense?
yes.
Innocent?
Yeah, innocent. Because I was, I still feel like I'm a good girl. I was a good kid. I just really believed that it was meant to be.
What did the kids at school say? What did your girlfriends say at school when you said, look, I'm going to be a star? Did they say, yeah, sure?
Well, some did. My best friend Judy Olga was with me since we were just little kids. She always got me, too. She was like Mama. And what she didn't get, she accepted. She believed it because I said it. She was very shy. And I, on the other hand, was, so I needed that little. God always has been kind to give me good people in my life, to help me. And I've always looked at that as blessings that God gave me,
So
like with my husband. But to answer your question about friends at school, a lot of them were jealous. A lot of them thought I was, it was a joke. Like even like when I was in high school, when I got up and said, some were saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to become a nurse.
This is graduation.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then I said, I'm going to Nashville to become a star. And there was giggling and, laughter amongst the crowd. But I'm sure now, I look back on that at the time, it kind of embarrassed me and hurt my feelings. But looking on that now, why wouldn't they? Because that was a pretty big dream. A lot of those were probably parents that just probably thought it was funny or got a kick out of somebody dreaming that big. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Dolly, why did you say Nashville and not New York City?
Well, because New York was too far away. I didn't know nothing about New York City at that time, but I knew about Nashville because we listened to the Grand Ole Opry on the radio back home. And country music, we had in Nashville, they had shows in Knoxville, which was just 40 miles from my hometown. They would have some people from Nashville, from the Grand Ole Opry, come up and sing on some of those shows in Knoxville. So that was not that far removed, and that was country music, and that's all I knew at that time. Was
Did you
about
want
the
Nashville
country
more
music.
than Hollywood or more than New York City? Did you want to be a country star more than anything?
Well, I was going to be, at that time, because that's all I knew, I was going to be a singer in Nashville. I was going to become a star. And then once I got to Nashville and felt all that out, then I realized there was the Hollywoods and
Another
there was
world.
the New Yorks. And so I had to take it in little doses because you've got to remember, I was just a white trash country kid from way back in the mountains. I mean, we were really, with no electricity, in my early days, we didn't have indoor plumbing. We just had a bunch of kids living up in the woods. And my uncle used to take me to these places, or the only way I got out, from that. So, but anyhow, so it was just in small doses. It's like today, today Nashville, tomorrow New York, the next day L.A.
But a white trash country kid with a dream, with a drive, you were unstoppable.
Yeah, I had no intentions of, it never even crossed my mind to ever do it any different. So, unless somebody should take you out of context and say you call me white trash, he did not. I call myself
that's
white
right.
trash. He would never do that.
No.
He was repeating what I said. So if you ever get caught on that, play my part.
Thank you for that.
Yes, I understand how people go. But anyway, so I just, I was unstoppable. I knew the first time I ever hit that stage in front of an audience and had a real microphone that made real noise, that I could hear my voice amplified and there were people responding, it was like a drug. It just shot right into my soul, and it's the way it's been ever since.
And the Johnny Cash was the inspiration, that sort of character?
Well, now, Johnny Cash, people say Johnny Cash inspired me as a musician. I've read some distortions on that. I loved him to death. what I said about Johnny Cash, he was the first person that made me understand what sex appeal was, charisma. I was a young girl when I saw him. And of course, he had that charisma, that charm, that thing that kind of made you feel stuff inside, and I got a big crush on him. But I realized later he was just doped up, and he was twitching.
Was he?
No, but he was great, though. I got to know him. He and June were two of my best friends. But I told him before I told her, too, I said, do you know that he was the first man that I ever felt anything, really felt like what sex appeal was, and that it made me think I was a girl because I was feeling stuff.
So what is
It was
sex appeal? What is sex appeal?
Well, I don't know for sure. It was just the way he looked. He was just so skinny, and it was just the way he moved. That's when I realized what charisma was. And I know now that's what it was. It's that charm. There's that thing called charisma. It's a magnetism that you're drawn to that person, and it makes you feel something. Elvis had that. There's a few people.
You can't teach it, can you?
No, and it's like Marilyn had that. There's just a thing, and Johnny had that.
And Dolly has that.
I don't know if I do or not. I don't look at myself and see that. I'm never good enough or never whatever. But
you said men are your weakness.
Yes,
You've said
that's
that a
true.
number of times. Here's a woman
Men-
who's been married
men
for
and food.
47 years.
Yeah, well, I didn't say I was dead or blind. I said I was married.
And the stories, the endless stories of Sylvester Stallone or
Well, of course,
Burton,
anytime
all
I
these-
ever work with anybody, I get accused of having an affair with them. I have a relationship with everybody I work with, but that's not the same as an affair.
Is that good for your image?
I don't know if it's not necessarily, because I'm a married woman. It's not necessarily good in my image. But I am a big flirt. I am a big tease. And like I say, what I ain't done, I'm capable of doing it.
Now-
And I don't deny or admit anything.
That's good. That's good for the image. Give me an exclusive. Carl does not exist, does he?
That's what a lot of people think. He might as well not, in some people's minds. Yeah. But it's the reason people tell so much about me is because they don't see Carl, because he will not get in front of a camera. He hates the
We should say
crowds.
Carl's your husband.
Carl
by the way.
Dean
Yeah.
is my husband.
Yeah,
I've been married to him since 1966.
And it's not true that he's gone to Tasmania and running a fishing boat there.
No. People have us everywhere. They say we own property everywhere. My husband's been seen here and there. My husband never leaves Nashville unless we go to L.A. sometimes, spend the winter.
Yeah.
We went to Hawaii one time, first and only time he's ever been on an airplane.
Is that right?
Yes.
Has he ever seen
First
you in concert?
Yes, he has. But it was years before he would, because he was afraid if I messed up, he wouldn't know what to do. And so one year he did come, and then after that he'll come in and out, but he won't go if people knows he's there.
And is it true that he goes to see your movies on his own and then
Yes.
comes back and critiques them?
Same thing. Well, he don't critique them. He'll just say, I went to see so-and-so, and that's pretty good. Or, he don't really, he just goes to see them. But it's the same with Dollywood. My theme park up in East Tennessee, he won't go if anybody knows he's coming. He gets a pass, of course, every year. If he just gets a gold
I should
pass.
think so.
But he goes, and he just waits in line, and he buys a ticket, and he goes in. And people don't even know. Every once in a great while, somebody on the park will see him. But he tries to make it to where nobody knows, because he just likes to look around, see what's going on. But anyway, he does exist, and he's a fine man. He's my best bud, and we've been at it a long time.
So he's not living in Australia?
No.
It's not true?
No. And it's not true. There's always in the tabloids. We saw something about where our $450 million divorce. There was something in the tabloids, and he said, hell, I would leave you if I thought I was going to get that kind of money.
And I saw the other day that you made reference, your fantasy at the moment is an Australian neighbour, is Keith Urban.
Oh, Keith is so sweet. That is the sweetest guy. I just love him to death, and I always joke about it. But he's got that charisma. He's got that magnetism. But I love him. He's so talented, and I love Nicole, too.
So we don't have Nicole running around Nashville singing "Dolly, Dolly, Don't Take My Man."
No, I don't think you have to worry about that. I'm twice as old as both of them.
Do you still? You've said 3,000 songs, probably more you've written. Do you still write every day?
Not every day, but I always think of something every day.
Do you?
I always write down a title or a thought almost every day. It would be rare that I didn't, scribble down a title or something, even if I'm just watching the news or something on TV. I'm always thinking, ooh, that's a good line, or ooh, that would be a good idea for a song. So, but when I do what I do love to do is to have some time to write, like to say, okay, the month of October, I'm going to focus on writing, or at least a couple of weeks in whatever month it may be, and then really go away, gather up my titles and my thoughts and a lot of my ideas, and just take time, take a few days, to kind of fast and clean out a little bit, just trying to tune in to the spiritual realm, and then just really take time just to write. And sometimes I can write 35, 40 songs, in a period of two weeks or so, if I've got really time to write.
You're such a lovely writer. You're such a really good songwriter. Does that please you as much as singing?
More than anything.
Does it?
I get more out of my writing because it's like a therapy. It's like a joy. It's like I would imagine like an artist that paints or a poet that writes poems. It's just, it gets everything out of me. It is really, really me. I mean, I love to sing. I love to sing them. I love to go in the studio and record the songs I've written. But I just love to create something, to know that I'm going to leave something in the world today that wasn't there yesterday.
Tumble out of bed and stumble in the kitchen and pour a cup of ambition.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, that just rolled out of there.
Isn't that a great line?
Yes. I even thought that was a good line. In fact, my husband loves that line. He says, that's one of the best lines I ever heard. But when every once in a while when I'm writing, because I write all the time, and and I just can do that. But every once in a while, I'll come across a line and I think, whoa, thank you, Lord, because I know I wouldn't have thought of that on my own. Ain't that clever?
But to get kitchen to rhyme with ambition in your accent is great. It works.
But I just started thinking, now what would I do 9 to 5? Because that was the deal I made. Yeah. I'll do this movie if I can write the theme song.
Oh, was that it?
That was part of the deal, yeah.
Okay.
And so I was thinking, okay, now I've got myself into this. Now, if I was working a 9 to 5 job, what would I do? What I do every morning, I tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, and I thought, kitchen? What'll I do in the kitchen? Now I'm going to pour some coffee. I'm thinking, well, what'll rhyme with kitchen? Ambition. Cup of ambition. Oh, yes! I thought, yes. And I really thought that was one of my best lines.
It's a great line. It is indeed. But you say with 9 to 5, you say that you're not a feminist. Why aren't you? There wouldn't be many men who've got the better of you.
Well, I just mean I'm not an extremist. I really believe, I'm proud to be a woman. I think that I'm a people person. I think everybody should be respected and trusted. I think if a woman does the same job as a man, she should be noted for it and she should be paid for it. And, that's as simple as how I feel. And I never felt that I was ever discriminated against, but I also had a house full of brothers. I knew men. Okay. I had a great understanding of men. My dad, my uncles, very close to all of them, my grandpas. And so I know the nature of men. So I was never threatened by that. And I was also a girl that knew my own self, even though I looked a certain way and a guy might think that he could have his way with me. Well, if he got his way with me, it's because I said so. I never went to bed with anybody to get somewhere. Okay. If I did that because that's what I wanted to do. I never did it for those kind of reasons, nor could anybody make me do it.
Now, I noticed at your concert in Sydney, which I went to, there were plenty of men, lots of men, but lots of women. Why do women identify with you?
Well, I think I've been around a long time. They relate to the stories that I tell. They know that I grew up hard. They know that I worked hard to get there, but I also write a lot of songs that they relate to, like the Jolenes and the Coats of Many Colors. But I think they're not threatened by me because they think, oh, she's too cheap looking, or she's
no,
that's
not true. That's not true. They're not threatened.
Really
in fact, they see you as a role model.
Hopefully they do. I hope I've been an inspiration.
Tell me about Jolene. There's a story to all your songs. But
well, there is. Actually, that's a two-parter. Okay. There's a truth in both. The title, the name Jolene, there was a little girl when I was working with the Porter Wagoner show back in the 60s and 70s, late 60s, early 70s. There was a little girl at one of our shows, and she was a little red-headed girl, and she was pretty as she could be. And she came up to get an autograph, and she said, would you sign it to Jolene? I said, oh, that's a pretty name. I said, I bet you were named after your dad. I bet his name's Joe. She said, no, it's just Jolene. I said, well, I love that name. I'm going to write a song about you. And so I said, if you ever hear a song on the radio called Jolene, you'll know it's about you. And so I was thinking, Jolene, Jolene. So the rest of the night I was sitting there signing. I got back to the bus and I was singing Jolene, 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 just so I wouldn't forget the name, Jolene, 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 Jolene. So that's why the whole chorus is pretty much just saying the word Jolene. And I wrote it down, and then I just started, I thought, well, that's just clever, and I had the little melody.
Yeah.
But then also, the other part to it, there was a girl that worked at the bank when my husband and I first got married, and she got a big crush on him, and I think he kind of had a crush on her. I know he was spending more time in the bank than we had money, so I called him on it. And so I just kind of took that little bit of, like that other woman kind of thing, although nothing really ever happened there.
That you know about.
No, well, yeah, that I know about. I would have watched it, I would have known. But anyway, I just said, hey, that's enough of that, So, but I took that title, then I took that idea.
Why do you think it resonates? I mean, you make the point that that's been recorded by about 30 different artists
Oh, that's
in all
been
kinds of languages.
the biggest song that's been the most recorded song I've ever written.
So what resonates? Dolly, what do you think?
Every woman can relate to it, and every man, really. Keith Urban sings that in his show all the time. I actually rewrote it for a man to sing about a woman named Jolene. He was just saying, don't leave me, just because you can, or don't let him take you. But he's just talking to his girlfriend. But anyway, I think women love it because I think we all know that there's somebody out there that could turn the head of the person that you love. And you always know there's somebody prettier than you out there, somebody better than you. So I think you always have to be on top of your game. But I think everybody has that fear. And it happens all the time.
Because the victim, because they're vulnerable? Jolene's vulnerable, isn't she? She says this other girl's prettier than... So please don't take my man
don't take
because you
him
can.
just because you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
just don't be just such a flirt. You can have your choice of men, but I'm only gonna love this guy because I'm truly in love. You're just playing around. You're just flirting and teasing, and you're just so don't mess with him because he's the only thing I've got.
They're the sad old love songs that you write so well, beautifully. But I Will Always Love You is almost the other. That's the woman in charge simply saying, end of the trip, end of the voyage.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true. I think we all go through all those emotions, in our lives. Even the Jolene. It's just like now I make a joke on stage, and I'll get back to I Will Always Love You.
Right.
I always say, oh yeah, and I tell the story about my husband was spending more time at the bank than we had money, and I said, but every now and then, I look at him sleeping in that lazy boy chair, and I think, where's Jolene when I need her? We have him now. Come get him.
Too late.
It's too late. But anyway, but getting back to the I Will Always Love You, I think that so many of us can relate to that. In fact, I've had people tell me that they played that song at funerals.
Yeah.
When they, like when this one woman told me that their father couldn't communicate with them, and that he wanted to play that when he was sick, and so they played it at his funeral, saying, I hope life treats you kind, talking to his children, and I hope you have all you ever dreamed of, wish you joy and happiness, and above all this, I wish you love. Then I've had people tell me that when their son or daughter went off to college, left home, that they loved that song. It was like bittersweet memories, and so I've had so many people relate to that. But of course, I wrote it as a love song, and so many people relate to it with that, with a relationship that's, whether you're divorcing or whether you're just breaking up or whether you've had an extramarital affair that you know can't go on forever, but you're going to always love that person or whatever. And in my case, I wrote it because of the Porter Wagoner show. Porter Wagoner was a man that had the #1 syndicated country music television show in America for many years. And when I started with his show, I'd said that I would stay for 5 years. Well, we became so popular as a duet. 5 years came. I wanted to go because I wanted to not just be a part of another group or just the girl singer in the Porter Wagoner show. I wanted to have my own show. But we had a lot of trouble, a lot of lawsuits, a lot of fights and stuff over it. And I thought, well, he's never going to listen to me. So I went home and I wrote that song to say, because there were many parts of him that I loved, so many parts of him that I despised, because we were like this all the time. We were very similar in the fact that we knew who we were and what we wanted.
Yep.
And I wanted to go. He wanted me to stay. So I wrote that song to say, I will always love you for what you've done for me. There's a part of me that will always, care about you. So that came straight from my heart.
And you knocked Elvis back on that.
Well, in defense of Colonel Tom and Elvis, Elvis wanted to record it and had planned to, had it worked up for his session or was planning to come to Nashville. They had invited me down to the session if I wanted to come. And then the day or so before, Colonel Tom called me and said, now you do know we don't record anything with Elvis unless we get half the publishing. And I'd already had #1 hit It was already my copyright. And I said, no, I can't give you half of a copyright that's already, proved itself. He said, well, then we can't do it.
Is that what Elvis always did?
No, yeah, with Colonel Tom,
Yeah?
everything I guess
Wow.
he recorded, they had publishing or half publishing.
How did you feel? 1 minute Elvis is
Oh,
going to
I
do your
felt
song.
terrible because I had to say no because I couldn't give, because when you're a writer and when you're a publisher, your copyrights that's like what you're going to leave for your family or for your own people. So I said, no, I can't give you half of it.
You
And
don't say no to Elvis, do you?
Well, I didn't say it to Elvis. I said it to Colonel Tom. But I cried all night because I'd already told everybody else was recording it, so I was embarrassed about it. I just said, I just had to make a business decision. He didn't do it, though.
Do you think now, can you imagine Elvis singing that song?
Yes, as a
He'd be
matter of
good, wouldn't
fact, I wrote a song called I Dreamed About Elvis. And in the song, I talked about different things, and I got an Elvis sound-alike, a guy here, Ronnie
heard
McDowell,
that.
sounds
Yeah.
exactly like him. So then I got to do a duet. In fact, I've recorded it. I was hoping to put it in the Blue Smoke, my new CD. I'm not sure it's going to make it now, but I did record it. I did it on stage for a little while. And but anyway, so I sang "I Will Always Love You" with Elvis, a little strip of it, and I said something about, well, after all, this is my dream, because we talked about the Colonel Tom and all. I said,
Yeah.
and it would be a dream come true if maybe I would sing it now, or you could sing it now, and I'll sing along with you, kind of thing. So then we did "I Will Always Love You."
Lovely.
Sounded great, but yes, I've always thought, oh man, that would. I mean, a lot of people think I lost my mind and not have done it, but.
But then comes Whitney Houston.
Yes.
She comes in. What did you think of that?
Oh, I thought it was incredible.
It's amazing. Isn't
It was amazing what she did with that. That goes to show you, though, if you've got a good song, it's a simple melody, easy to sing, and it's a good story. It's a message that fits anytime, anywhere. And then with her, with that voice, and with David Foster doing that brilliant arrangement, production on it, I mean, it was just incredible.
How did it make you feel like when someone?
It made me
it's
feel
your
like
song.
I thought my heart was gonna,
Yeah.
was gonna bust when I first heard it. In fact, I heard it on the radio. I was still driving at the time. I was driving from my office downtown to my house out in Brentwood, which is probably a 30-minute drive. And I just had the radio on, and all of a sudden I just heard that a cappella part. And I was listening. It was like one of those things. I thought, what is that? And it was like, should stay, because I didn't know she had recorded it. I knew they had asked me about it,
You didn't know.
and I had
Wow.
no idea that they had done it.
Yeah.
Somebody had called to say they might do it in a movie, but I hadn't heard it. They hadn't sent me anything. And then I thought, that's my song. And then when it went into I almost wrecked the car. I had to pull over and to listen to it. But it was like somebody had just poured hot water on me. It was just the most incredible feeling you can imagine. You can imagine as big as that was, and as beautiful as that was, and as great as she sang that, and with all that music and that my little simple song, how they had it was just overwhelming. It was almost just overwhelming. It was almost, you ever have such a joyful feeling inside, you just felt like your heart was going to pop open. It was like that.
Made up for Elvis. Almost,
Yeah,
didn't
well,
it?
it helped.
And then when she died, when she passed away, and along with your friend Michael Jackson, did it make you think of what a tough business this is, about the price of fame?
Yes, you
For some
always think of
people.
that. I did know Michael. I did not know Whitney that
Okay.
well. I'd seen her a time or two at different places, but we were not close. I did not know her.
Okay.
But
But two
Michael,
stars
I
of
had-
music,
Yes, but
isn't
I still always know that they were both very spiritual and very, tender-hearted, very good people. Little Michael was just like a little angel to me. And it's just like when Whitney died, and when they at the funeral, when we were watching that, and when they lifted her coffin up and they started singing that "I Will Always Love You," talk about overwhelming. I hadn't cried up to that. I hated that she was dead, and my heart was heavy, and you'd hear all the stuff, and you knew it. But it was only when, they lifted her up, and I knew that was so final, and thinking that I would forever be attached to her, connected to her because of that song. And then I saw my own self. I
Did you?
thought, now there'll be two things, 2 times that song will be played at a funeral for sure. That was at her funeral and at mine. I'm sure that that'll be the song that they would play.
Would you ask for it or not?
Oh, I ain't asking. I'm not asking to die. I don't want to go anywhere.
I don't want you to
anytime
die.
soon. But I'm just saying, I would assume
Yeah.
that, it's like that would be something somebody'd pick, But I just thought, when they lifted her coffin up, I thought that's probably one of two coffins that'll have that song sung over it. But it was overwhelming to me. It kind of brought everything kind of home. But and then the fact that they died too soon for the reasons that they did. That's really hard. Thank God, I never got caught up in that world of drugs and alcohol and medications, for whatever the reasons.
But it is part. I mean, you've steered it with the help of God and help of yourself, just in terms of good judgment. But that is a world of music and stardom, isn't it?
Well, it is, but they were both very spiritual too.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do with what you can and can't deal with and how you. It's just the personalities, I suppose. One can never say why.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's because they didn't have the faith and didn't believe, because I really believe they did. Maybe they did the drugs because, it's like I often say, I think a lot of people get on drugs because they're trying to get to heaven before time. They're trying to live in that world of bliss, and that's only going to be out there, when you get to heaven. We're not allowed to have it yet, So maybe it's just, maybe we just know that it's out there and we want to get there sooner. So. Then we should.
Dolly, you're the wrong person to ask, but I mean...
Well, how do you know?
Well, I'm going to ask
How
you
do
anyway.
I know?
No, I'm going to ask you the question anyway. But I mean, in that brutal, ugly world that show business can be, you have this reputation of being nice, of genuinely nice. Genuinely nice. How do you attain that? How have you achieved?
Well, now I am just who I am. I'm not always nice. It's like I'm just saying, I'm a person. I want to be nice. I choose to be good. I choose to have a good attitude. You have to work hard at all that. There are times I don't feel good, and there are some people that just really get under your skin. And there are times when I can tell you where to put it if I don't like where you
have a
got
temper?
it, so to
You got a
speak.
temper?
Oh, yeah, I don't lose my temper often, but I use it sometimes. And I always know, it's like there's some things you can't let some people get away with, or they will. So don't you ever think that I'm a pushover. But I'm always honest. I'm always upfront about it. I'll say whatever's on my mind, and that's not always. I'm not one of those people that just you have to say I'm nice all the time, or it's going to hurt my feelings. Because I want people to know I am a girl of many colors. I really am. I am a person that I didn't get where I am by being a pushover.
Yep.
But I try to hang on.
I didn't mean that, by the way.
No,
I
I
didn't
know
mean you
that.
were
I know
pushover.
you didn't.
No.
I just mean, but I'm just saying to some people that think, oh, I don't like to be known as a goody-goody. I don't want to be vanilla. I want to be Rocky Road. I want everybody to know that I'm all those colors. Yeah. And nobody's ever perfect. Nobody's ever good all the time and nice all the time. But I choose to be good. I have a good heart. I was born with a good, tender heart. In fact, sometimes it goes against me, but I'm also one of those people that I'm enough like my daddy. That old redneck bristles, rear up when I know that I'm dealing with something that ain't right.
Right.
And ain't
Part of
real.
that rocky road you talked about is that back in the 80s, I mean, it's hard to believe you're always so happy and bright and bubbly. You were in deep depression in the 80s.
Oh, yes. That's what I was going to say. Nobody, even for people to say that one, don't have a right to do that. But yes, I went through a bad period of time back in the 80s when I was going through the change. I was having some female problems. I was having some family problems, some emotional problems, and I was overweight. And I didn't feel good about myself at all. So I got myself in a pretty bad bind, and I understood at that moment how people do get on drugs, how people do get on alcohol, and how people can commit suicide. Or I didn't do that because I still kept praying. I still kept holding on to God and hanging on to my friends, but it went through my mind.
Was this also when you'd pretty much been banned from country western radio?
No, I never cared about that.
Okay.
No, I never care about. No business thing has ever been able to get me that depressed. I get more angry or pissed off about those kind of things than depressed. But you may go into some depressions, but no, it has to be something very personal to ever get me to that. Either family or some emotional thing.
Did you
or some
lose this
physical
tiny
thing.
waist of yours?
Oh, well, I know I had a small waist. It was just small, but it grew up around it. But yeah, I got, it's when I was just having, it was just during that time, when you start going through that middle-age crisis, middle age spread, middle age change of life kind of thing, to where your hormones and everything is different. But I did. I had a very hard time, and
How'd
I
you
had
get
a
out of
hard
it?
time. Well, God,
Yeah.
and just praying and friends, and just trying
being-
to hang on.
And being Dolly and
Family,
simply being
just
tough.
being me, just saying, hey, what's going on here? Either get off your fat ass and do something about it, or go ahead and blow your head off. And I thought, nah, I ain't gonna do that. No matter, it's like those thoughts just kind of come and go. But I do though believe after that God meant for me. That was a thing that God meant for me to go through, so I could completely feel for other people about everything. Not
love
that I
you-
ever judged people, but I still needed to know how everybody feels. So I have been everywhere, and I still get down. It's like when things don't go right, or if I'm going through a lot of my family problems cause me a lot of stress, but everybody's does.
Yep.
I worry about if somebody in my family's going through a divorce, if they're having a hard time, I'm having a hard time. And so I care too much. So I still go through that. So I'm not happy all the time.
I love
I
your-
wouldn't want to be happy.
I love your God quote from your book, in which you said, you give God credit, but you get the cash.
Exactly.
He gets the credit.
He can have the credit. I want the cash.
Was it an interesting period for someone who's written so many songs? That period when you went back and wrote and sang John Lennon's song and a Chris Christopherson and a Dylan, etc., etc. That was different for you because you used to sing in your songs.
Yes, but actually, there's a lot of songs of mine that I've recorded that I didn't write, but they were original songs.
Right.
But I love doing that, just like when I did Cat Stevens' Peace Train.
Mm.
And in fact, in my new, I have a new CD out called Blue Smoke, and it's also the name of my world tour. That's when we're coming to see you and all that. But anyway, in the new Blue Smoke album, I did another Bob Dylan song, that Don't Think Twice, It's All
Yeah?
Right.
Wow.
And I did a couple of outside things.
Stairway to Heaven is beautiful. And
Well, thank
the way
you. I
you've done
love
it.
that song.
And really really hypnotic. Do you understand what it's about?
Not really.
I don't.
I don't either. But it's just like I remember when after the Gold Rush, remember that song
Yep.
Neil Young wrote?
Yeah.
I always loved that song. I didn't know if it was about the Second Coming or if it was about space people. And so one time somebody asked him, he said, what is that song about? He said, I'll be damned if I know. I think he was probably stoned when he wrote it. But anyway, point is, in my new CD, I actually did Bon Jovi's Lay Your Hands on Me. And I've done some other outside, I enjoy doing some cover.
You've never
cover
sung
song.
with Bob Dylan, have you?
No.
Could you imagine that, doing a duet with Dylan?
Well, yeah, I
You'd
could
be
imagine.
interesting.
I'd love it.
You'd be
I just
interesting.
did a duet with Willie Nelson. It's the hardest job I ever had, trying to phrase with him.
Why?
Well, because he sings so weird. You would think that our voices would be,
Yeah.
that we would phrase alike. We both phrase different, but we don't phrase alike. I told him, I said, you're the hardest person I ever tried to catch, like not knowing where he's going. But we did a duet of a song that I wrote, which I love doing. I've sung with him before, but
Yeah.
he's a tricky one to sing with. But I think Bob, I could sing with Bob.
Is there it's too hard, I know, but to choose one. But outside of your songs, is there a song that you think, wow, that's got it? Like a Lennon song or a McCartney or something, or anyone? Is there a song on a desert island that you'd grab and listen to?
Well, there are lots of songs that I love, and I've often thought that I would love to someday just do a whole album of songs and maybe call it These Are a Few of My Favorite Things
Yes.
or something, and just really do some of the great songs that I've loved, through the years on just one whole album. I might do that someday.
Is there one you can think of?
No,
Okay.
or I'd have done it.
Okay.
Or
Let
I'd
me
be
just
doing-
quickly move on the time. In terms of movies, let's talk to movies because we have access to them. Is it true that in kissing scenes you were embarrassed?
It's always embarrassing when you have to kiss somebody in front of a bunch of people, unless you're a pervert, or doing a porn film. Maybe you'd enjoy that. But when you can't just kiss somebody in a movie. You've got to get your head just right. The lighting has to be right. Your angles have to be right. And in fact, when I kissed Burt Reynolds in the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Burt had his mustache and he has it blacked. He had some black on it. And
I know what's coming.
yeah. And it was so funny because then we did our scene, and I guess they got whatever that scene was, but then when we pulled back, I looked like I'd been sucking a sow. You know, it was like I was all dark around, had a ring. So then we had to clean me back up for that kiss. So it's not just a kiss. You can't just like lay into it. The only person I ever kissed in a movie that I ever really felt anything from was James Woods. Oh, Lord, he was the best kisser. We did... in fact, it's like I say that, and people say, "Oh, you can't say that." I said, "Yes, I can."
Yeah, sure you can.
But you have to. But it is awkward, and you do feel embarrassed. But at least, with him, at least I enjoyed the kiss. That's the only time, though.
Were those movies? Was it acting, or was it being a part of Dolly?
Oh, it was acting. I would have rather kissed him in the dressing room.
Oh, okay.
That would be Dolly. In the hall or in the dressing room on the way out. But on set, no. I'm always uncomfortable anyway, when I'm doing movies. Because I never learn, I don't know anything about the movies. And I have the worst time staying on my mark or playing to the lights.
Do you
Some
really?
of those people
Do you?
have that
Yeah.
just built in them because they learn that. But because I was already grown, the first movie I ever did was 9 to 5. I'd never even seen a movie made, been on a movie set, to do that. So I just do this, and I've never learned. See, to me, it's a big deal to just learn my lines, to be talking to the person in front of me.
Yeah.
And so I don't think all that other stuff. And it's like you have to think so much. I don't like that.
Well, you
part.
look like a natural. Steel Magnolias was a fantastic
Well,
performance.
some's easier than others, but I still have, a little trouble with finding my marks or staying on my mark, or they'll have to do another scene because I got off my mark because I'm more interested in more like a play,
Yeah.
like where you're really just acting.
Making money or making music? Which pleases you more?
Music.
Would you do it for nothing?
I would. I would, and I have. Even if I hadn't have made it, I'm certain that no matter what I'd have to be doing for a living, I'd be saving up a little bit of money. I'd be trying to still record a CD. I'd still be singing at some little nightclub somewhere. I would always have done that.
You talked about charisma earlier. Kenny Rogers once said about you that the Dolly takes up a big space. I think that was him saying charisma. Do you understand what it is, or do you just do it?
Oh, I don't understand anything other than being who I am. If I
He
got
meant that as a big compliment, didn't he?
Yeah,
You
I
take a big
guess, because
space.
maybe he just meant, I'm a little person to take up so much space.
No,
Maybe he meant my mouth. I don't know.
No,
Well,
no.
whatever it is, I love what I do. I always feel like I need to be more. I want to give more. I want to do more. So I don't know if, it's a lot for, it's.
Could you imagine at your tender age retiring?
No. I'll never retire.
You won't?
Unless I was sick or my husband was sick. I've always said that. I would definitely, if I had to pull back to take care of him, I would, or if I was too sick to do it. But as long as the Lord lets me be on my feet and my mind, and if I can keep my voice, then I'm going to do it.
Because you love it?
Because I love it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine my life without my music or my life without the business end of my music either. I love what I do. I love my job. Love it.
So what was it about Australia you didn't like to stay away for 30 years?
Oh, I
almost?
loved Australia.
But you didn't come and visit us
I
for
know,
so
but you
long.
live so far away. It ain't like you just say, "Oh, I want to pack an evening bag and I'm going to Australia for a minute." You got to plan it. It's like you got to think for months, and you got to go a long ways, and you're going to have to stay a long time because it's a long way back.
Are you going to bring your
And
buses?
we do. It's just some of the most fun things. We have 2 buses. And it takes, I think, about 6 or 8 weeks on a slow boat from England. They send them over to Australia, where they've built them in England.
And these are bathtubs in the bus?
Yes, we have a shower and a bathtub, but we have to have them different, because I don't like to fly. We do fly. We have a private jet, but I don't like to fly if I don't have to. So if I can stay on the bus, it's like home to me. It's like all my things. I can have my things there. But I live on the bus. I never stay in hotels, whether we're in England or whether we're in the States or whether we're here. I love the bus. So we've got the buses coming over. We got about 80 people in our crew that we'll be traveling with. I think we've got about 8 buses and 8. We just got all kinds of trucks, 8 or 10 trucks, with the equipment.
And what warning, Dolly? What warning are you going to give us this time about coming? What should we be prepared for?
Just be prepared for me. I'm little. I take up a lot of space. You be prepared for my buses. Maybe that's what Kenny Rogers meant. I take up a lot of space because I have all these buses and trucks and airplanes. But actually, we're going to have a fun time. The show is going to have a lot of medleys of my hits through the years. We've worked up a lot of new stuff because we didn't want the fans to hear the same thing. So we've worked up put more of the old hits, the big hits in medleys, doing some of them straight through, and then we'll have our comedy. I'll be playing different instruments. We'll be playing all the hit songs. We'll have our gospel stuff, a lot of talk, a lot of stories. So we're ready for you.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, I can't either.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks
All
for
right.
talking to me.
You're a good guy.
Yep, I'll go to the other side. Thank you.
Let's get Daddy in the middle. He'll have a
Oh,
blonde. He'll have a blonde on each side.
Okay.
Have a dolly on each side.